everyone, and welcome to the Undisputed Heavyweight Champion of the World show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Team, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. Still feeling that? We're not over it? We're not bored with the award-winning Fan Show intro now? Because I'm not. I'm going to keep it rolling. You know me. Like I said, this might be the only time I ever win an award that I ever be nominated for and win an award. And I accidentally hit the button there. So why not enjoy it for, as long as I can. That's how I feel. That's my thoughts on it. But anyway, this whole thing, I've seen a lot of stuff floating around social media today. Especially a quote that I found, especially it hit close to home, and then everything that's kind of gone on for this week, which I promised you guys already that I would get to, and so I just wanted to take a moment and share that, and that is that, this tour thing is tough. And as I said in an interview last night, that you guys will see the article for that probably tomorrow, and I'm very excited about it, but just a little tease, no spoilers. But, there's a lot of work that goes into this tour because it's on my dime. And that's something that I have accepted, that until further notice, I'm the one paying for the show to keep running 3 nights a week, for me to go to the events that I do, and for the tour to happen each year. And the fact is that there's a lot of help that I need. There's a lot of help that I don't ask for, but then there's a lot of help that I get because people genuinely support and believe in what I do here, and that is an incredibly humbling feeling. That is something that I do not overlook, does not go unnoticed. The fact is that I try to find loopholes, if you want to call them that, in my travel. So when I went to Green Bay last year, sure, there's Milwaukee, right? Major city in Wisconsin, has an airport, but I fly Southwest, so that's like the cheapest that you can fly. Open seating, whatever. If I grind elbows with somebody all flight long, I don't really care because, what? Why would I fly first class somewhere when it's not about getting there? It's about what's happening when I'm there. So I fly Southwest, and a lot of times they have cheaper fares flying into certain airports like Chicago, not O'Hare. Midway. Yeah, that's like a big, giant Southwest terminal right there. So I fly into Chicago, and then I usually drive from there to a number of destinations. Last year, I flew there twice, once to go to Bloomington and then Iowa, and then the other to go to Green Bay. So this year, Omaha, flying in there tomorrow night. I'll get picked up and I'll get taken to Iowa for that game Saturday, and then I will go to Nebraska the next day, Grand Island, Nebraska, and then back to the airport in Omaha to fly back home. But I didn't know how I was going to get from point A to B to C to D back to A until like 2 nights ago, and so it's just such a warm, fuzzy feeling to know that I have friends, fans, supporters, whatever you want to call them, family at this point, that are willing to help out in every way that they can. Jimmy, he's a great guy. He's going to pick me up from the airport tomorrow night. I'm going to stay with him, go to the game. Antonio is then going to take me from there to Nebraska with his son. We're going to have a good time, and then he's going to take me back to the airport on his way back home to Des Moines. And just so very thankful and fortunate that I have people that support this in a way that they genuinely want to help. Because I'm like, hey, looking for somebody to give me a ride here. I'll pay for your gas. I don't have a problem with that. Let's do it. And they're like, don't even worry about it because we believe in what you're doing and we want to help. And that could almost bring a tear to your eye. And it, probably did at the time. But right now, not going to cry. Okay, we're good. So... Very excited for the next 2 stops on the tour. I'm excited for every stop on the tour, honestly. Arizona was a great one. Hopefully I will get to go back at some point this season for another great game, another great stop. But we've got a doubleheader back-to-back. Iowa hosting the Arizona Rattlers. These two meeting up in Iowa for the first time in like a decade. Joe Stacey and I, the voice of the Barnstormers, we recorded our segment last night. Him and I could talk for an hour easy. Without even blinking. So maybe we'll do that one time. But it was a really good interview. We talk about that very fact, and then that's going to be a great matchup. And then the next day, Green Bay goes into Grand Island to take on Nebraska. Green Bay looking for its first win. Very excited to see all the guys from Green Bay, and it'll be my first time in Nebraska at the Heartland Event Center. And then Monday Night Football is back for the Indoor Football League, and that will be the Cedar Rapids Titans off of a Week 2 win. They were the only team, well, one of two teams that played that week. They got a win after starting out 0-1. We didn't know what really to think of the Titans, and so now they're going to go in against the Storm. And if you would have told me that this matchup, one team would be 0-1 and the other team would be 1-1 when they met, obviously I probably would have said, well, the Storm, they're probably the 1-1 team. Who was that lost to? And the Titans would be 0-1. But Titans, man, they are motivated to make it 0-2 in Sioux Falls. That's right, at the Denny, amongst the home crowd against the 7-time champion and the ones who were in the United Bowl last year. So that's going to be a great game. Don't really have predictions for you. I'm just excited for these matchups. I really am. Marvin Jones has something going on there in Cedar Rapids. They're drinking the Kool-Aid and they're enjoying it. They're going to break through that wall at the Denny. Oh, yeah! So with that, let's go ahead and jump into headlines and get this thing rolling, huh? And the headlines are that the off-season wheel of torture, the wheel of punishment, the wheel of whatever is going on in the NFL continues to spin at a high velocity. That's right, in case you missed it, the Legion of Boom is no more. I mean, it was only one player yesterday that they heard was going to be, leaving, and that was Michael Bennett being traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then rumors about what's going to happen with Richard Sherman, that he'll be cut in the next few days. And it's really fascinating just how crazy the offseason gets so early. I mean, wow. Allen Robinson, though, working on rehabbing, one of his top 5 landing spots could be San Francisco for Jimmy G. Marquise Goodwin got a contract extension. Congratulations to that man, that Mr. Goodspeed. Kind of a back and forth year for him last year at the death of his son, but then the great performances that he had, and then now he's going to be in San Francisco for a while. 3-year extension. So it's I am looking forward to this offense. I know that defense wins championships, but the offense sells the tickets, and there's going to be a lot of tickets sold for San Francisco in the next season and the seasons to come. But DeMarco Murray, Titans are going to release him. Tennessee Titans have informed running back DeMarco Murray he will be cut. The move saves the Titans $6.2 million in salary cap space and solidifies Derrick Henry as the team's lead back, which, man, that one is almost as baffling as the Ogletree trade yesterday that the Rams did. I don't know. Sam Shields is giving it another go, and he's headed west. The veteran cornerback, who hasn't played since 2016, signed with the LA Rams. And that was announced today. Broncos will exercise cornerback Harris's contract option for 2018, while Aqib Talib's roster spot is in jeopardy. And the fellow Pro Bowl cornerback Chris Harris is staying in Denver. Of course, this is all per NFL.com. Ex-Panthers running back Stewart will visit the Seahawks today, which that would be a great get for them. I'm not going to lie, I'm not even a Seahawks fan. You guys know this, and I think that would be a great get for them. Or DeMarco Murray. There's so many options out there for teams that have needed to fill a certain roster spot, and I feel like that's more prevalent going into this free agency time period than it has been before. You got Jonathan Stewart and now DeMarco Murray hitting free agency, and I could list you off a handful of teams that needed a running back last year. Seattle was one of them. And as far as there's a lot of teams with holes in the secondary, and you've got a few really good cornerbacks and DBs hitting the free agent market. Backup quarterback Ryan Fitzmagic is expected to re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before the start of free agent signing, which I guess. If you want to be a backup, go for it. At this point, it's kind of like him and Josh McCown. Like, what else can you be except for great in a time of need? And I don't know if Fitzpatrick can necessarily be great in a time of need. McCown was. He was a starter. But obviously, youth is gold in professional sports, is it not? I mean, look how much emphasis we put on the draft, the combine, and the future of the NFL. So, yeah, it is what it is. I'm still waiting to see several pieces fall, though, especially with what's going to happen to Richard Sherman, which reminds me I should probably check to see if there's been any developments on that front. In case you missed it last night, founder of the Warped Tour, Kevin Lyman, returned to the show. Second time on here. I love that he's made not one but two appearances now. Great conversation with him and talking about why the Warped Tour is now coming to an end. This will be its final full cross-country tour. Future to be determined as far as what exactly that means. But nonetheless, his explanation for everything, he's obviously given this a lot of thought and put a lot of thought into it. So I thanked him and applauded him for all the work that he's done in the rock, pop, punk, and punk rock community. And we'll see what happens next. Because I asked him, point blank, why not pass the torch on to someone else? And he's like, well, who says it has to be a torch that gets passed? Why can't somebody else step in and create something like what I created with Warped Tour, which I understand completely. I just think a lot of people, there's a lot that goes into a name. Am I right? A brand. Warped Tour is kind of a brand that we've come to know and love. So that was last night. You can hear that one on iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And we're coming to you live from the Fan Cave studio, being broadcast on thefanshow.com and, of course, Spreaker.com. There's a little chat feature on Spreaker if you guys want to join in on the conversation tonight. First time to the show. That's right, Fan Show debut for Justin Shirk. Now, he has been interviewed by me, and those clips have made it onto the show, but this will be his first time calling in to the show to talk, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do our Game of the Week preview, which is the first stop this weekend, second stop of the tour, stops one of two this weekend, and then I'll go and see the Danger and the Blizzard, and that'll be a lot of fun. But I'm going to do one more quick sweep through here, the headlines. And the Richard Sherman thing, I think, is the biggest question mark right now. Bills have signed defensive end Owa Odiguzwa to a one-year contract. That's interesting. I don't know how to pronounce that name. My apologies if I butchered it, because I probably did. Former Browns special teams standout Josh Cribbs has accepted a job as a special teams coaching intern with Cleveland. Oh, Zeke, just stop. There's a tweet from Zeke Elliott. Much love and thanks to Mr. Jones for standing behind me, as he does for all of his players. Great appreciation. Time to move on and look forward to a great season in 18. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just not a Zeke fan. You guys know this. So the Marquise Goodwin deal, 49ers agreed to a 3-year extension worth $20.3 million and $10 million guaranteed. That is a good deal right there, I will say that. Le'Veon Bell said he will not sit out this season despite being franchise tagged. Apparently they're working on a new contract deal. Okay. And then Landry of the Dolphins signed his franchise tender this morning. And before he became an RFA next week, Patriots special teams ace Brandon King re-signed a 2-year, $2.6 million deal with the Patriots. I really think that just about does it. Michael Bennett said thank you to Seattle. Former Bucs defensive tackle Chris Baker to the Bengals for a 1-year, $3 million deal. And let's see. Yeah, that'll do it. So we're kind of waiting for the Sherman domino to fall, right? Because that would be quite the domino. I don't know how many teams are holding their breath for a guy like Sherman, but I said on the show last night, he has to find a team that he can be Richard Sherman at. I don't think he's going to go to the Patriots. I could see him with the Cowboys. I don't think he would want to go to the Cowboys. And then I could see him being, what's another spot for a guy like Richard Sherman The Jets? I don't know. They need it. Kansas City? Philly? I mean, how many former Seahawks are going to go to Philly? Jacksonville? There's a lot of fan bases that don't want Richard Sherman because he's Richard Sherman. Not because he was a menace on the field to their teams, but because of the way that he behaves. I know that that's my biggest problem with him, is the way he behaves. But hey, you know, that's just me. And then we've got the 3 games this weekend that we will talk about a little bit more after the interviews tonight with my 2 guests. But March 10th, Saturday, Arizona Rattlers, Iowa Barnstormers. That will be 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 Eastern. Then the next day, March 11th, Sunday at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. And that will be Nebraska Danger hosting the Green Bay Blizzard. And then finally, March 12th at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. Will be the Cedar Rapids Titans and the Sioux Falls Storms. So, one more time, let's run that down. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Saturday, March 10th, Rattlers, Barnstormers. And then at, wow, this one's really hard for some reason. At, you guys get it. I'm going to save myself from more embarrassment. So let's go ahead and get Justin Shirk on the show. So we will be right back with him. Don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more of the Fan Show coming up right after this.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw that Sky hates him.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns. 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten.
You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? You know, just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how's it a puddle right outside your house? Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks. Good.
You're listening to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ficarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellects, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. Now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome first-timer and a man who hosts his own personal gun show. It is Justin Shirk of the Arizona Rattlers. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing good, Rich. How about yourself, man?
Doing great. Glad to finally get you on the show. We talked about it like last year after the championship, and then I ran into you, and you were at the post-game press conference in Arizona a couple of weeks ago. So now here you finally are. Very excited because I'm going to see you guys again this weekend in Iowa. But Matt, like, how you doing? How you guys feeling after your bye week and going into another big matchup this season?
Well, starting the game off with a big W was huge for us. A lot of momentum building right there. Coming off the championship last year, so making sure over the kind of championship hangover a little bit there was a big thing, especially against Sioux Falls, which is a perennial power in this league. So that was big for us. But outside of that, it was a tough game, physical game. So having that bye week was good for a lot of us guys here to kind of recoup and get our bodies back together and get ready to go for a long season.
I feel like if anyone has the cure to any kind of championship hangover, it's Coach Kevin Guy, because the man is like one of the best football minds out there, especially within the indoor game. What has his message been to you guys going into this new season? And then, of course, when you had the first matchup against the Storm and now after winning, and for the rest of the season, kind of your bar's been set a little high.
Yeah, he came up with this team after switching down from the AFL. Like you said, he's a great football mind. So he found the right guys for his system, and the system obviously works because it showed that in the AFL game. Now in this league too as well. And it's just playing week after week, game after game. Not looking too far ahead. Playing within yourself, play to the scheme. Especially in this league, a lot of teams and players can sometimes get ahead of themselves and try to be too much about themselves in order to get the next opportunity to play in the NFL in the league or CFL or whatever. So just trying to bring everybody in, bring everybody together, and playing as a team. There's 8 people on the field at one time, for any given team. So if any person doesn't do a job, it could really hurt the team. So as long as you're playing as a team. Playing within the scheme and playing within yourself, all is good.
So you guys you were at home for the opener. You had a bye week. Now you're on the road, another tough team. And this is going to be Arizona's first time in Iowa in years. And a lot of people are talking about the significance of this game, maybe a championship preview. But have you been to Iowa before?
No, I've never been to Iowa, and I missed the Iowa game last year. So I didn't make it until after this game, actually. I didn't make it until week 3 last year into the season and on the team. So it's going to be an exciting game for me playing against them for the first time. I know they got some new kind of pieces of the puzzle and had a heck of a run last year. Going 14-2 or 13-3 or whatever it was. So it's going to be a great game.
Now you guys have what a lot of people will agree is one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league. And you're going up against a team that has a lot of offensive weapons, including quarterback Drew Powell, and then you have receivers like Ryan Ballantyne, who only needs one hand to make a catch, and then Brady Rowland, of course. So when you guys, as a defense, know that there may be more on your shoulders this week than others, what kind of mental prep do you have to do before you hit the road?
We always know, especially in the beginning of the season, bringing in new pieces on the offensive side, it's going to take time. So as a defense, we really take leadership and onus on that, and making sure we do have everything together. We play our best ball, especially in the beginning of the season, so we can't get the team out on the best foot forward. We have a lot of guys back from last year, so we definitely play to that hand. I think we only bring in a couple of new guys in the secondary. To help us out, one linebacker actually, that you'll probably see later on in the season. But as far as defense goes, man, we're solid the whole way through the board from front to back. Like I said, all these guys have been here; they were all here in the championship team. So it's just playing our game. And we played against Drew last year, and we played for Nebraska, and I know the wide receivers last year did really well against us. So. This whole new team from when we played them last year, second game of the season. So we're really going to play on that and, come out and have a good game.
Now, it was announced today, made official, quarterback Verlin Reed has been placed on the injured reserve for a limited period of time. But he was the big offseason acquisition because so many people thought that he was one of the candidates for, Rookie of the Year last year with how he played in Salt Lake. And so you guys go out, you get him, and then you get to see him for some glimpses in the first quarter, and then he's out. What has that impact been like on you guys before this big matchup on the road?
This is a tough loss. He was a heck of a player last year in the league. So losing somebody like that and so dynamic, especially at the quarterback position, is tough. But just like in any sport and football especially, it's the next guy up. And Jeff came in, Ziemba, last game, and held strong. Did what he was supposed to as a quarterback. Didn't make too many mistakes. Took the team down, scored points. Led up to the defense to hold our end to the deal, our end of the bargain down, and lock down the win. But like I said, Jeff's been good. He's progressing. He's had an extra 2 weeks here of preparation for this game, so he's only going to get better for us. I definitely see him similar to what kind of Cody was last year for us. A very solid guy, not making too many mistakes, putting the offense in the right checks and balances and everything, and just keeping the offense moving forward while the defense locks down.
Yeah, and I think that you guys obviously have a great next man up mentality, and you have a great running game too with Darrell Monroe. He's been very reliable. All of last season he was one of the standout players, and then you got the United Bowl MVP, and you've been a phenomenal player. You got a lot of really great guys there on that defense. Now, the rest of the season, you guys, after this game, are going to go back home for a few stretches and host a few teams, one of them being Nebraska, who was in that playoff picture with you guys last year. When you look at the type of league that this has become, which is no more conferences, just straight up, the top four, however they're going to do it this year, does that change really anything in your mind as far as what you guys have to do in this regular season to get where you want to be?
No, not necessarily. I don't think. Any way you want to see it is you want to win as many games as possible. Especially in this point, we want to bring the championship through our place in Arizona. So we want to be have the more wins than any team in the league. So obviously any team wants to go perfect. If we do that, awesome. If not, we got to make sure we have more wins than anybody else, and we take care of business when it's necessary, so we can get back in the championship game again.
Yeah, and it certainly looks like you guys, didn't have a whole lot of turnover and any sort of issues. Coach Kevin Guy is probably one of the best at adjusting those. I mean, halftime adjustments, and then of course, game to game, mid-season adjustments, whatever adjustments a coach needs to make for the team. He's the guy that probably is one of the best at doing that. So I think that you guys have a very good outlook for the season. It was certainly exciting to see you guys play a rematch of last year's United Bowl to start off the season. Great environment down there at the Talking Stick, and I really do appreciate you guys and your hospitality in Arizona. But let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, which is just exactly how big are your biceps?
Not too big. I've measured around 18 inches or so, but that little thing with Coach from Sioux Falls calling me out on that fumble there was kind of funny. That was definitely a first.
Yeah.
I still got on Chris. I think Chris Callister is the one that kind of kept me from getting that fumble. And to this day, the last couple of days, week or so, I've been getting on about that. How I could have started the season on a really good note instead of just an okay note there. But all fun aside, it was awesome play, and it definitely kind of set us up for that win there.
Well, because I was wondering, I was like, is he going to pull the 24-inch Pythons line on me? But I guess you have 18-inch Rattlers, which would be the appropriate conversion.
I don't like to. I don't like to overdo it or boast, nothing like that. But I definitely put a lot of work in the last couple of seasons, especially this past season. Kind of working on some football training, but also was getting into the bodybuilding kind of realm as well. I was actually going to do a show in February before I came back out here. So that's kind of where how my body kind of hooked up is because of that.
What does life look like for you after football? Have you given much, if any, thought to that? Because you're a man of many talents. You seem to have your hands in a lot of different projects right now. So I just wanted to know if it was football had your 100% attention, or if something comes up that you have this going on or that you wanted to try this kind of thing?
Well, right now, football is definitely, at the forefront. 100% of my attention. Everything goes into, my team right now in this season. And, helping them get back to the championship and win it again. Outside of that, obviously, for most people know, this league doesn't pay for much. It's usually as a stepping stone to get to the next level, to the CFL, NFL, whatever it may be. And I'd love to have another opportunity for that. I got a sweet taste of the NFL in 2015 with the Indianapolis Colts. And I'd love to, try to get back there and, see what it's like again. It was kind of bittersweet. You got a taste of the dream that I, always wanted when I was a kid. But I didn't feel like I got the best opportunity to, make it happen. So I'd love another go around at it. Obviously in life, you don't always get second chances. So if it comes, awesome. If not, life moves on. There's more to life than football, which is tough for a lot of people. So just transitioning from that into a career, whether it's, fitness, sports, coaching, whatever, just trying to find the best fit for me. Don't quite know where it's at yet. But keeping the eyes open and keeping the doors open.
Yeah, I can respect that. I think that if football doesn't work out, you should definitely look into a career at pro wrestling. I think you've got the look to win a title belt. Not just mine, for the player of the week, but I think you could win like a legitimate belt to take home with you and be like, yeah, I did that.
I've heard that once or twice.
I knew it. I was like, this guy's been told he should be a pro wrestler. I can feel it.
It happened recently. I think within the last week or so I was told that.
Oh, wow. Coach Kevin Guy's probably like, he's on my watch right now. There's not going to be any wrestling going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I feel like
part-time job in that.
He's probably top candidate to be like your coach for that. Like if both of you retired at the same time and you're like, I'm going to go in the wrestling, he's like, I'll be your manager. Like I could see that being like the perfect
that
pair.
would be an interesting combo. He's a very intense individual. He likes to have fun, but he's pretty intense. So that'd be pretty funny.
Oh man, I'd love it, especially with his thick Southern draw accent. I think that would be absolutely priceless. We got to try to make that happen. I got a new project now.
There you go.
Convince Kevin Guy to manage Justin Shirk as a pro wrestler. All right, well, Justin, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to finally be on the show. Sorry it took so long, but obviously the season is young and there's going to be plenty more Rattler action to be had. I will see you guys this weekend, so safe travels and enjoy the rest of your night.
I appreciate it, Rich, and I'll see you this weekend, man.
All right, good luck, man.
Thank you, sir.
And that was Justin Shirk, Shirknado of the Arizona Rattlers. Great time getting to know him. He should be a pro wrestler. I knew it. I can call those things. I just can. And so due to the time constraints, we're just going to jump right into my interview with the voice of the Barnstormers, Joe Stasi. So here is that interview that we pre-recorded last night as part of our Game of the Week preview right here on the Fan Show. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, making his triumphant return to the show is the voice of the Barnstormers, and he means business. It is Joe Stasi. How you doing?
You know what, Archie, it's terrific, and thanks for having me on. I'll go ahead and pose a question. How are you doing? And is everything going okay with you and everything you're doing? I know your endeavors are working out quite well.
Well, for me, I'm doing great. There's always ways I could be doing better, like if somebody else was paying for the tour instead of myself. But, maybe someday. But, hey, I've got the first stop done in Arizona. That was a great stop, a great game between the two in the United Bowl last year. And now the next two stops I've got, doubleheader, back-to-back, Iowa, one of my favorite places, and then my first time in Nebraska, 2 great games. Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited.
Yeah, you're going to be in the heart, of the Midwest, and the Iowa Barnstormers have been, waiting for this moment for a few different years. And after last year, the Barnstormers finishing 12-3 on an 11-game win streak, getting in the semifinals, and then falling 1 game short of the United Bowl. Dixie Wooten in the off season, as you know, Coach of the Year, John Pettit, Executive of the Year, numerous player accolades, and Dixie Wooten and the rest of the Iowa Barnstormer ownership group, stoked about bringing back 7 or 8 players that are committed, to getting to the next level, and then a lot of new faces. So off to a good start, 1-0 against Green Bay, 41-20. So sets up for a great weekend against Arizona. They're the standard by which to be measured by right now. They won the last year's United Bowl, and it'll be the first time they've returned to Des Moines. Holy smokes! I don't even know what the price of a gallon of gas cost back then in 1995. Who the hell was the president? George W. H. I don't know, but you know what? It's going to be a historic weekend and a terrific matchup between the Iowa Barnstormers and the Arizona Rattlers at Wells Fargo Arena this Saturday night in Des Moines.
Yeah, the defending champs coming to town for the first time in years for the home opener. I mean, it's so many great elements, and we're going to talk plenty about that game. But of course,
Richard, were you born in the mid '90s? When were you born?
I was born in the mid '80s, '86.
Right on. Hey, that's why I graduated high school in '86. That's a great year.
There you go. We just seasoned ourselves right there. So that's
it. Hey.
But there was a lot that went on, in the offseason, especially at the quarterback position, one of the most important positions in the game of football. And Travis Partridge, who was voted the most improved player, I thought had a phenomenal season last year. Now, I talked to him a lot. He's a good friend of mine at this point. He loves his coaching. He really does. But, that's a tough spot to replace. Drew Powell, I think, is a great guy, but I just – anytime that you make a change at that position after having such a successful season, it's almost like there's this bar that is raised when maybe it shouldn't be because there's this unknown. How do you feel about the changes on the roster between last year's team and this year's team and what the expectation level should be?
Well, first of all, Travis Partridge is a quality human being and just a well-raised child from his mother and father, and coached his kid and played for his coach in college, and did everything that he needed to do to take this organization to the next level. 13-3, and excuse me, just battling a cold here, getting to the final end of it. Thank goodness, because I have a really important ball game to call this Saturday night. But Travis Partridge. As I stand in my kitchen overlooking my notes here, my dog needing to get outside. She's a lab, so she needs some exercise. But he did everything he needed to do, under Dixie Wooten in his first year. He ran the ball a lot. They picked up down and distance when they needed to, and they made the big plays when they needed to. He retired. He's done playing college football and professional football, and he wants to concentrate on being a professional coach. And for the love of St. Jude, his demeanor is terrific, and he's tougher than nails, and we wish him the best, and he's going to be a great coach. And now in comes Drew Powell, a 6'3", 220-pounder out of Livingstone College, and he proved his wares up in Sioux Falls. They took him in up there, and he got limited playing time, but they knew he was a pro, and I have one game. I'm not an expert on Drew Powell yet. I've interviewed him during my Barnstormers weekly radio show, and then I broadcast the Green Bay Iowa Barnstormer game. And this dude is quick. He's like oil on a skillet. Somebody's looking at him and pressuring him. He gets out of their way. He just has a knack to avoid the tackle. He's got a hairpin trigger gun that probably needs to take something off at it from time to time, but and can run the football. He's smart, and Drew Powell is a perfect fit at quarterback after Travis Partridge decided to hang it up.
Yeah, and we all miss Travis. Like I say, you and I both agree on his demeanor as a person in general, that he's definitely got a great head on his shoulders. It was certainly a high note to go out on, knowing that last season was his last season, at least for the foreseeable future. But, he's going to go and do what he wants to do, and he left a great lasting memory with Iowa Barnstormer fans, and I applaud him for that. And so now we usher in kind of not necessarily a new era, but we've got a new quarterback. We've got a few new pieces on defense there. We still have Bryce Enyard, who is a great playmaker. Obviously, we saw it, in their first game, and then you have Ryan Ballantyne, who's probably your favorite out there because never a dull moment in the broadcast booth when he takes the field.
Hey, you know what? When you're a homer, you can't have favorites. They're all your favorites. They're all your family. But Ryan Ballantyne, he's a terrific human being. I got to know him on the road with my many travels with the Iowa Barnstormers, and it comes to find out that we're sitting in a hotel room getting ready for pregame in I believe it was Nebraska, and we're talking about where we came from, what we graduated with, and I found out that Ryan Ballantyne is a military brat. And you never know it. You never judge a book by the cover. He's just a beautiful young human being, and he likes skateboard types of smart, cerebral, and he's been going back and forth as a military brat. And I graduated college with a business degree, and he in the same category, and we started our career professionally with Foot Locker. And I was a Foot Locker general manager, management trainee, and then a general manager and a team leader and things like that. So we have that in common, and he's terrific. Brady Rowland is, of course, a local product from around here from Carlisle, which is basically in Des Moines. It's a Class 3A school. And then he went on to Grandview College, which is local here in Des Moines. It's an NAIA school. And he was an All-American, set all the records, and won national championships. And he's one of the mainstays that have come back. And the Barnstormers only bring back 7, 8 guys. Ryan Ballantyne, Bryce Enyard, who you mentioned, Brady Rowland. Cody Barber gets that nod because he kicked the last game of the season for the Barnstormers against the Sioux Falls Storm, and he was named IFL Special Teams Player of the Week in the win over Green Bay, and was perfect in PATs and 2 field goals. And Zachary Allen, who has taken the place at the middle linebacker position for us, he stepped up and has been a beast. And then Keith Jones, B.J. Butler in the middle. And then you've got the rest. They're all unknowns, and they did a terrific job this past week, first week against Green Bay, then a bye week. So I don't know what you think of that, Richard. I like it as a coach. Dixie Wooten might argue with me that, you get a chance to rest after a long training camp and then face the best team in the league, and they come to your house.
Yeah, the scheduling gods certainly smiled upon Iowa. I was in Arizona for that first game, and what I saw was a lot of first game, I don't want to say like jitters because they're all professional athletes, but there was some work needing to be done for both the Storm and the Rattlers. No team is perfect, but that defense of Arizona's is so scary. All the guys on there just put in the work. And with Green Bay, we talked about it last night with B.J. Hill. They've had some trouble in that fourth quarter because otherwise the games have been very, very close. But with Arizona, you guys, you're going to have to play all 4 quarters against Arizona because they're going to make you. And that's what I think is most exciting about this game. Now, you mentioned Cody Barber, who I was actually about to bring up. A good buddy of mine. I love his story. I love the way that we met when I went to Bloomington last year before I came to Iowa for the first time. And I ran into him, and I leaned over to Coach Amir Ishmael, and I was like, that's not your quarterback, is it? And he's like, no, it's our kicker. And I started laughing because he looked right at me, and he's got, the blind in one eye. And I was like, did I see that right? And so him and I have a good laugh about it. But how great is his story? Like, not just as a kicker, but as a person in general. Well,
I don't know much about him. And it's funny you say that because he's such a terrific human being. So last year, at the end of the season, he had the opportunity for roster reasons to kick in the semifinal versus the Sioux Falls Storm. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was perfect on his 2 PATs. and then worked tremendously hard in the off season and got the job. And when I pulled up into Green Bay, since we can be honest on this show, right? This is like okay. So I pulled up into Green Bay with my guy Travis Grieco, who is associated with the Barnstormers and does stats and helps me out with Kevin Burton in the press box with drive stats and number of plays and stuff like that, which I need as a broadcaster. Cody Barber was on my Barnstormers weekly radio show, and this was after he was on the field in practice, and Dixie Wooten, the IFL Coach of the Year in 2017, was up his backside sideways during pregame for Green Bay.
Wow.
Cody, He didn't have it. He was nervous. His legs were weak, and I think Dixie Wooten got in his head and just said, "Hey," he'd shoot his butt out, and then I think made him relax, and then went out there and he nailed all of his PATs. It was amazing. And then I had him on the radio show that John Pettit and the front office staff for the Iowa Barnstormers gets to determine who I have on our radio show, the Barnstormers Weekly Radio Show, every Thursday night. We do it at Thunderhead in Ankeny, a real cool sports bar with great food on Des Moines Sports Station, 1460 KXNO. They said, "Hey, you know what? Cody Barber is going to be one of your guests," and he was a terrific guest and just a nice young man, a terrific young man, and you're so happy that he came out and. Because he didn't get in the IFL, you don't get a whole lot of chances in many instances to kick in an arena before you actually have to kick in indoor football and get that crossbar that's 10 feet high and 9.5 feet wide in a game like situation. And he performed admirably and was awarded with the Indoor Football League Special Teams Player of the Week in Week 1.
Well, I wonder if that's going to become a pregame ritual now, where Coach Wooten just goes and just digs into him. Could you imagine?
Coach Wooten wouldn't have a problem with that. And Coach Wooten wouldn't have a problem with that. And if we ever have a Coach Wooten sound alike contest, I want to be in it. So
fair enough.
But we can't do that. I'll recommend that to Coach Wooten. See what he said.
I could just see myself getting there, going out and saying hi to Cody as he warms up, and then all of a sudden here comes Coach Wooten marching. I was like, time for your pregame ritual, and I just kind of turn and walk off.
You would think, you know what, and I love Coach Wooten the way he coaches, and who's going to argue with him? He's the IFL Coach of the Year, 2017, but. I get to coach my little girl in club basketball and stuff like that. Played high school sports and played college sports. And you know what? I have always been a fan of, if you need to get your ass kicked, get your ass kicked. Tell them what they need to know. Hey, listen to me. Step, kick, follow through, breathe, take your right step. So, I think that's what Dixie Wooten did with Cody Barber, and then he came out and just performed, perfectly.
Yeah, it's great to see little things like that work out, and we'll see if it becomes a pregame ritual. But this season in the IFL, I'm happy that it started, because there was a few moments where it looked really bleak, but we've got 6 teams, which I'm fine with, and it's no longer 2 conferences, it's just 1 league, which kind of makes it an interesting thing, because now we can have some of these dream matchups in the United Bowl that we couldn't before. How great would it be to see the Storm against Iowa in the game that it all comes down to, because there's such storied histories between these two, and they've always been at each other in previous seasons to get to that game, but now they could meet in that game.
You know what? Terrific point. And, 6 teams, 8 teams, 10 teams, it's going to fluctuate. And I know that the IFL has a terrific model, and just because, a few different, minor legal matters, kept a couple teams out of the league, I feel confident that they're going to be in the league next year. And holy smokes, you look at the teams in this league, Green Bay, Arizona, Sioux Falls, Cedar Rapids, Nebraska, and the Iowa Barnstormers, the top four get in the playoffs, and you get a chance to play for, the United Bowl. And there's so many of these players. If you look at Green Bay's Blizzard, the Green Bay Blizzard roster, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 players that have been in the NFL as practice players, 53-man rosters in their rookie training camps in the CFL. Green Bay right now should be 2-0 rather than a close 0-2. They're very competitive. And you look up and down the league, and each year out of the IFL, as you well know, whether you call it a feeder system or not, you have a lot of kids that the younger kids, and the veteran rule is in play, as we all know. You get these kids out of high school, or college, that get there, and they have a chance to get to the next level. That's all that matters. Yeah. And they all think that they have a chance to do that. And you look at these rosters, and it's proof in the pudding that they do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's something that I've been obviously a very vocal advocate for, as far as these guys getting a bit more of a look. And of course, it always comes perfect timing with the Combine and then the road to the draft, which I mentioned last night. I think that the NCAA has way too much of a stranglehold on professional sports, especially the NFL. But, these guys are going to keep doing what they believe is the right path to get back to where they are. And I applaud them for that and commend them for their effort and everything. Even if this is it for them, at least they had a great run amongst great people, which Iowa is full of them. You guys there, you really do love your football. You love your team. I'm so excited to come back this weekend. I know it's early in the season, but
well,
hopefully...
we're going to meet. You come to all these cities with your pretty little suit, your pretty little tie. Get your butt up to the press box. Tell them you know me. Throw John Pettit's name around. He'll help you out. I need to get up there, for crying out loud. I'm not a big meet and greet guy, Richard. When I get to the arena plenty early, trust me, and I believe in the 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. So I get everything taped up. I make sure my radio feed is on, and then I take a little 30-minute digress, and I just kind of rest my neck, and then I go down. I meet the coaches. I shake the hand of the general manager and some of the players, and get back up in the press box and go after it for 3.5, 4 hours.
Don't worry, we're gonna have some fun this weekend. I have a feeling. I actually the audio was so bad for the game in Cedar Rapids this last week against Green Bay that I just hit the mute button and just started to do my own commentary to it. And so I have been practicing every once in a while.
Did you catch any of that? Did you catch any of that audio from Green Bay Barnstormers first week or not?
Oh yeah, and I love that I hear all of you. Like 30? Yeah, let's do a 30. 15? Okay. Like, you are on it, man. You are. There is no BS.
You know what? And you know what? Hey, Richard, you know what? As long as we're on, this deal, you know what? That stuff should be taken away from me. Somebody, first of all, the YouTube is terrific. Over 500 views last year. How cool is that for the IFL?
Yep.
But gosh darn it, as a play-by-play guy, you go to these different arenas, and the help is terrific, especially for somebody with, no technical knowledge. I want to plug it into the Ethernet and then have somebody, mic down when I go to a commercial. And that doesn't happen at this level just yet. But so I'm always mindful. I don't ever say anything that's going to offend anybody, but I have to communicate back and forth to my board op to say, hey, let's take a 30, let's take a 1, let's take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I was like, me and my wife were watching, and she's just like, what are they doing? And I was like, they're doing the commercials. Like, Joe is on it. Like, he means business. And she just looked at me and she's like, seriously? I was like, he's on it. Like, he's fun in games when he talks to me on the show, but you listen to him and he's like, he is the captain of that ship.
You know what, Richard? So, I grew up in a small town and an Italian family, and anytime that I got in trouble, above and beyond, my mom would say, "Your dad's going to be home in a few minutes, and he's going to mean business." And boy, I tell you what, it took I don't know, it wasn't that many ass whoopings. I would probably say about 3. And I quit doing things that he didn't want me to do. I knew I was going to get an ass whoop, so I knew he meant business. And so that's where you get he means business.
Oh, fair enough. I needed that history lesson. I really did, because I always wondered where it came from. And it seems like catchphrases sometimes have the best origins, and that's right up there with them. But yes, we're going to have fun this weekend. I messaged John Pettit last night. I said, hey, I can't wait to be back in Iowa. He's like, yeah, we're excited to have you. So, hey, you don't get much of a better thumbs up than that from the front office. And
hey, listen, tape this, Richard, and put it in the bank and send it to John. He knows the way I feel about him. John Pettit, look at his resume. He's, Joe Louis Arena, he'd been in Detroit running the Detroit Tigers. His resume. Why is he in Des Moines? Well, he and his wife Janice and his family liked the pace of it and came here with hockey, and his deep knowledge in arena football and running organizations is off the charts. And consider him a friend and mentor. He polished this turd up and gave me a terrific opportunity, and I'll forever be grateful to him. And hope he's around for a long time. And this year, he's really worked hard. He and Jeff Lamberti and the rest of the Iowa Barnstormer ownership group to get the right coaching staff, which starts with Dixie Wooten. Again, he's been coaching in the IFL for over 14 years, and the defensive coordinator goes without saying. Marcus Coleman, NFL, 10 years. You know that. And Malcolm Nelson, a high school, college, and NFL coach. It's a terrific organization to be involved with, and we look forward to you coming. And if you don't chase me down, I mean it.
You're going to mean
business.
Dude. You're going to mean business.
You have my personal phone number, so we need to at least meet before, during, after, or all the above.
All of the above. I like it, because I know that if I don't, you will mean business, and that's apparently a Stasi household
business.
thing.
Hey, tell you what, hey, I know where there's some good appetizers and a cold brew after a game, and as long as you're being responsible, it's all
of course. Nothing but responsibility all around. But I'm going to come knocking on your door. We're going to have some fun this weekend, Joe. Can't wait to see you, and thank you so much for having another blast here on the show with me. I always appreciate it.
Anytime. Much respect back to you and your listeners. Take care. God bless. Be safe.
All right, Joe. You have a good night.
You too.
And that was Joe Stasi, voice of the Barnstormers. Another great conversation. Like I said, we could go for an hour easily. So one more time, let's try this again. Saturday, March 10th, Arizona Rattlers at the Iowa Barnstormers for Iowa's home opener. That will happen at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Then, Sunday, March 11th, the Green Bay Blizzard go into Grand Island, Nebraska to take on the Danger. That is at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. And then Monday Night Football, Cedar Rapids Titans taking on the Sioux Falls Storm. That is at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Of course, the kickoff times are about 5 after, but I do want to thank you all for a terrific week here on the Fan Show. I am, sorry that tonight didn't go quite as smoothly as I had planned, like in the beginning, but hey, we recover as best we can in the Fan Show, and that's really all that I can do. So I'm going to hit the road tomorrow, off to Omaha, then Des Moines, then Grand Island, then back to Omaha. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you're following the Fan Show. I'll try to do some Snapchatting this weekend, okay? So the Fan Show, Instagram is, of course, the Fan Show. Twitter, @FanShowOfficial. Facebook.com/Fan Show Official. Don't forget, you can buy merch now. Go and check out the link, which is on the Facebook page of the Fan Show, as well as I'll tweet it out again for all of you folks. But that helps fund the tour. I got to get from A to B, and not everyone's going to be as generous as some of the folks in these cities, which is okay. There's zero expectation. Whatever people can help out with, they do, and I love them for that. So I will see you on the road this weekend, Fan Nation. 2 stops 2 and 3. And don't forget, next week, all new episodes. We're going to have a blast. It is a countdown to episode 300. This was episode 286. Thank you, Justin Shirk and Joe Stacey. So until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.